All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, and welcome to the Master Motivation Show. My guest today is Mr. Steven Reinstein, and Mr. Reinstein is the CEO and founder of Market Muscles, which serves over 700 martial arts and fitness businesses around the world with website and online marketing services. Steven is a lifelong martial artist, beginning his training at age 2 in Shorin-ryu karate. In 2016, he took his two passions in life, website development and martial arts, and combined them to create Market Muscles. Thank you, Stephen, for joining me today.
No, I appreciate it. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And as a pro wrestling fan, we're coming off WrestleMania weekend. I don't know if you watch any pro wrestling, but super pumped about hearing all the stuff on Facebook, and my video kind of reminds me of how much I love professional wrestling. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about you and tell me. I mean, man, that's kind of cool. Martial arts since age 2. How did
Yeah,
that start?
man, I was lucky enough to have two older brothers who were doing martial arts as well, just because back in the early 90s, I know it was kind of unheard of to bring in kids that young into the martial arts. So I kind of lucked out there. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I was actually going through old home videos. My dad recorded like everything when I was growing up,
Hmm.
including my first karate class, all my tournaments and everything. And it's so cool to see. And the same instructor that I trained with back when I was 2 years old is still my instructor now. Still the same person that I go to Okinawa with every year to continue training and everything. So it's just, yeah, it's something that it's just been incredible to have in my life, for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, 2 years old, there's no way that you remember life without martial arts. I mean,
Right.
you are a lifelong, literally lifelong martial artist. It's um, I would say becoming more common that children start, much younger. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that when you started, it was still, I mean, there's a lot of schools that don't even really start teaching martial arts until, they're 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
One of my favorite programs to teach is our Little Dragons, which is our 3 and 4 year olds, because it's just so awesome to see them kind of start out and really blossom. And I found that the kids that start the youngest are actually the ones that hang on to it and train the longest. And you're proof of that, right? You started at 2 and you're still training, still going to Okinawa. Talk a little bit about your training and growing up with two older. How much older were your brothers?
So I've got one older brother who's 2 years older than me, and then another one who's 4 years older than me. So they don't do karate anymore. It's something that they stopped back when they were teenagers. But regardless, I mean, I've got so many incredible memories of us three, and of course, photos and videos and everything like that of us doing karate. And then growing up watching the Three Ninjas, I was always like, "That's us, that's us." It's so, but yeah, just I was watching these home videos, and yeah, at 2 years old, I mean, I was like falling over. It was bad, but of course, it was cool. It's really cool to see. And then the trips to Okinawa and still, having the same karate instructor, it's so fun. Just because it's the same style, it's the same katas that I've been doing my entire life, and in life things change so often, and to have that thing that doesn't change at all, 20 something years later or whatever it's been, I guess 30 years now, and the katas are still exactly the same as I learned it. It's awesome. It's one of the things that I love the most about martial arts.
Well, great. Well, let's talk a little bit, more about the martial arts. But I want to remind everybody that is watching now, any viewers out there, I invite you to engage in this conversation. If you have any questions or you have anything you want to hear us talk about, anything you want to ask Stephen or myself, please do comment and we'll get to those. It's cool because you have two older brothers. I have two younger brothers. We all did martial arts, and growing up. It was fun. It was fun when
Mhm.
we were kids because we all got to train together, and as we got to be a little bit older and we really got into the sparring and fighting, my mom would just basically say, look, if you guys are going to have an argument, just go put your gloves on, go handle it, and get it over with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And my brother, I have a brother that is 4 years younger and then one that is 7 years younger. The one that's 7 years younger is actually he's still training martial arts. He owns a martial arts school in Newbury Park. My other brother did earn his black belt, but decided to go in a different direction. But it's kind of neat, and it's funny you brought up the three ninjas. My brother and my dad actually worked for one of the actors' dads, did a job for him in construction job.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so you brought up three ninjas. That's kind of cool. Tell me about some of your memories of training, with your brothers, with your instructor, as a young child, as you were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the whole, issues with brothers, I mean, I definitely had that same sort of thing. You brought up wrestling before. I was a huge fan of wrestling growing up. Attitude Era during, WWF at the time was like, in my opinion, prime wrestling, I
Right.
guess, because that's what, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so, same thing. My brothers loved it also. So we were always on the trampoline, doing wrestling, karate, all that stuff. But man, memories from growing up. I mean, the type of karate that I have done has always been a pretty, I guess, hard style of karate. So always had wood floors, knuckle push-ups, all that sort of stuff. Black belt tests were extremely difficult, starting off with a 5 mile run, going into, just hours of training and doing everything. Um, yeah, but I'm trying to think back to like specific memories that I have. It's for me, I'm lucky. I've got those videos where I can kind of go back and
Hmm.
watch. So just seeing like even my karate instructor, the way that he's changed over the years. Because back when we first started, we'd be doing our katas and he'd come around and he'd be kicking us in the legs and pushing us over and all these things. And now when he's dealing with the kids, he's all soft spoken and nice, and it's just like I don't know. It's fun to have those sorts of things, that we've experienced, and I'm still friends with people that I grew up doing martial arts with in the dojo. So just those types of things are so cool to look back on. But I think probably the most memorable things for me are the tournaments. I love doing tournaments growing up. It's something that I stopped doing since I've been older. Although I did go to Okinawa and I did a tournament there. They hosted a world championship for karate a couple of years ago. I think the year before COVID hit, so I got to participate in that. But yeah, I think the tournaments for me are what really sticks out.
Hmm. And so, people that are watching right now, we mentioned you train in Shorin-ryu karate, which is
Yep.
Okinawan, correct?
Yes. Yep.
and,
Yep.
and and like you said, a hard style. It's interesting because I think a lot of us that have trained for 30 plus years, we can talk about the old school all the time, and how we were trained, and how we were talked to. I mean, I can remember getting bamboo shinai. Your stance wasn't low enough and you get
Right.
whacked. And like today, that would not fly, like, even for 3 seconds, right? Like, I mean, as it is, people are pretty sensitive, a lot more sensitive to certain feelings, um, than I think as we were used to coming up. Getting a compliment was like a big deal to me coming up
Yeah.
in my school, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure, coming from a traditional background, there wasn't a lot of compliments on hand. It was do this, do that, do this, get better, train hard. And the connection was different. But you've been training with the same instructor for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Explain that relationship and how he's mentored you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a father figure to me. His name's Robert Rowley. He's been doing the same type of karate, that we came up learning for his entire, um, you know, uh, experience doing karate. And his school is a small school. I mean, he's pretty much always operated in like the 50 to 70 student range, and
Hmm.
which for me was pretty cool because everything was really intimate. The relationships that we built there were really strong. But yeah, it's like because his name was Sensei growing up, I only know him as Sensei. When I learned that he has a real first name, I was like shocked at that. It's like, you call your parents mom and dad, not, so it's cool. I mean, it's really exciting to see, just how many people that he had an effect on. When we go to Okinawa and we work with the head of our systems to see the connection that he's made with the Okinawans there is really exciting as well, because
Hmm.
he's been going for 20 or 30 years now consistently, every single year. So, when we go there, we're having lunch and dinner with these people who live there and train in the same style as us. And yeah, so just being able to follow in his footsteps and be able to experience these things that he's been kind of building for so long is just been great. I mean, my time in Okinawa is so special. It's something that I look forward to, and I can't wait till Japan opens back up and lets us back.
Yeah, that's very cool. What a great experience. It's funny you brought up the fact that you, you always called your instructor sensei, right? And
Yes.
and hearing his first name or even saying his first name would be awkward.
Yep.
Um, and I feel the same way because I don't think that I've ever in my career um, called my instructor by his first name. It was always Mister or Master. And
Right.
I ran into an old student the other day, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" Hi, Jason. And I kind of had a double take because it was that moment where I was like, I went from being the instructor to now, okay, I guess I'm not looked at the same way
Yeah.
anymore. It's kind of a weird thing. And again, that goes back to, as traditional martial artists, we're so set in those values and so set in that tradition and respect that it's almost shocking sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little weird at times because we'll go out, whatever, dinner, and I'm still
uh,
calling him sensei in public and stuff like that. But
sure.
I don't know. It's just, the way that it is for me.
It's just the way it is, right? I mean,
Yep.
you're probably not calling mom or dad by their first name, nor do you go into your doctor's office and call them
Yep.
by their first name either, right?
Exactly.
I got to say, I'm curious. There's some people watching right now, guys. If you're watching, please just drop me a comment. Just say hi, just so I know who's watching. And again, if you have any questions, anything you want to know about Steven, uh, please ask. Um, Tell me more about Okinawa. I've never been, so what's it like?
Man, during the summer months, it's extremely hot. It's a beautiful tropical island, essentially. I like going in February or March. It's really my favorite time to go because during the day, it's like light jacket to t-shirt type weather. Nighttime, it gets a little chilly. But I've been in July and August, and I remember my first trip, which was probably about 7 years ago, was in July. And I remember stepping out of the hotel, and at that time, I was wearing glasses, and it just automatically fogged up, like just poof, and it was really uncomfortable. But the amazing thing about Okinawa is the people. It's so incredible. Every morning we wake up and we go to this local park at 6 o'clock, and there's just a group of like 50 or 60, 70 to 80-year-olds just all exercising. It's a free thing. Someone brings a little radio, places it in the center of the park, and everybody's kind of just doing their aerobics and their exercises. And
Hmm.
they're just so welcoming, and it's the people there are just really incredible in general. And there's this thing about how Okinawans live the longest out of any other place. And the reason that they attribute that to is the fact that they don't stress over things. And it's so true. I mean, I remember one time we were in a taxi being brought to the dojo for us to start training, and our taxi driver missed the exit on the highway. So he stops, dead stop on the highway, starts going in reverse, and he's waving at people to back up, back up, back up. Everyone starts backing up for him so that way he can make the exit. And we know in America, oh God, that person would have been getting cursed out and all sorts of stuff. But it's just the way that they live. Everything is just stress-free and easygoing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask a question, but first let me give a quick shout out. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, for watching. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're enjoying the interview so far. Any questions, please just drop them in the comments. But I was going to ask you, Stephen. I was going to ask you about the culture of Okinawa because I recently traveled to Tennessee, which is
Yeah.
still obviously within the United States, not out of the country, but. Um, you just kind of notice I'm from California. California culture is you know unique to say the
Yeah.
least. But going to Tennessee, man, everybody was so nice, and it was funny too because every time people would ask where y'all from, California. Oh, I'm sorry. That would be what I would get. But and the culture was just it was so different. Explain a little bit more about the Asian culture, specifically within martial arts too, because you went and you trained there. Because our students come into our school in the United States and they are customers, right?
Right.
And so there's an expectation of service to them,
Right.
which in martial arts it typically kind of works the other way, where the service is to the instructor or the sensei, the master.
Yep.
Um, Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. They don't really value people based on their skill in martial arts, more so how big of a heart they have, how
Hmm.
much they really connect with you, how friendly they are, things like that. So it's really nice to see that. Of course, they want good, strong karateka. They want people who are able to do things, correctly and all of that. But, just because you have really sharp kata or you're really great at sparring or something like that doesn't make you looked at as a better person. It's really about your attributes as a human and those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just to see them valuing those sorts of things is really great. But yeah, like what you were saying, when it comes to the, servicing the instructor at the end of class, we're always cleaning the floor, right? Everyone grabs a mop, grabs a towel, starts cleaning the floor. It's just kind of like tradition there. And the way that things are supposed to be, where it's like the students are taking care of the facility and taking care of the instructor and things like that, where I
Mm-hmm.
know that sort of thing definitely wouldn't fly here for sure.
Well, it's just different, right?
Yeah.
Once again, like I said, I think the students in a school come to us as customers,
Yeah.
and cleaning the school is the business. The business should keep the school clean, and
Right.
of course I agree with keeping a clean school, but I think there is something to be said too about the students taking pride in where
Yeah.
they train, and just trying to create that culture. I have to say that during COVID, well, I mean, the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
We have, because we wanted to make sure that everything stayed clean. So we adopted or developed this culture where our students were, wiping down the mats. I mean, it's now to the point where at the end of class, when we use, kicking shields and the focus mitts, and they just get put to the side, and at the end of class, all the white belts rush over, and they wipe them down. And I really like that we've kind of developed that in our school. Now, of course, the instructors and I are responsible for keeping the school clean on the daily, but people start to take a little bit more part in that, and that service to the school and to the instructor, I think is so important. So it's kind of it's a balance, right? A fine
Yeah.
line of the two. Um, Tell me a little bit more about the experience of actually training. I love that you talked about heart and you talked about attitude, because to me, those are like the two most important things in any martial artist. Skill comes with time, skill comes with practice, skill comes with patience, but attitude, effort, enthusiasm, heart, the no quit attitude, that's something that, regardless of your skill level, right, we
Yep.
we we want to instill that in our students and bring out the best of them that way. And sometimes in the martial arts that's kind of tough too, right? Because not everybody understands the way martial arts is taught. There's still kind of an old school value, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to that old school kind of approach. Obviously, some of the newer ways of doing things are great as well, but the just like the connection that you make, and I think that's one of the things that is so great about the idea of like cleaning the facility together. It's something that all those white belts get to experience together. It's something that they can look back at 10 years from now when they're, talking about their time up, and just like you said, taking pride. I know in our school, we would have a day every year where it's like Dojo Pride Day, and everyone would come in and clean and do that sort of thing. So I think that's a great thing to do. But in terms of in Okinawa, like I said, it's just the most humble people, ever. It's just like, regardless of what rank you are, it doesn't matter. And I've been there with people who are going for their first time, especially if they're an underbelt, if they're like a green belt or a brown belt, and they're going to Okinawa for the first time. They're so worried about being judged by the fact that they don't know every kata, they don't know, all the material for being a black belt. And it's just not about that there. Obviously they have respect for people who've put in the time and have earned certain ranks and that sort of thing, but it's just not all you're valued on. And
Hmm.
we see that in America a lot, where it's like, because I'm a higher rank, you have to listen to everything that I say, or you have to respect everything that I do. And it's just not like that there. Obviously there's, again, that respect for putting in the time and that sort of thing, but it's just not all about rank there, which is really cool.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, it's just that I've got so many stories about, the way that our instructor there is. His father was the head of the system and had created the system. He passed away. So the father's name was Shigeru Nakazato. He passed away. The son's name is Minoru Nakazato. He's now running the school. And his thing with martial arts is, he's done martial arts as since he was a kid as well, but it was never his full-time thing. So he had a successful career as a working with the police department and doing that sort of thing, and now he runs the dojo. But it's not a thing that he does to make money, essentially. So because of that, he can make a lot of decisions that aren't based on his income or that sort of thing. So I don't even think they take on new students anymore in Okinawa. Of course, it's growing here in America and South Africa and things like that. But um, yeah, but it's such an experience going there and creating these connections with these people that have been there for so long.
Yeah, you hit a big word to me, humble,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Learning to be humble. Um, Again, with students in the United States and Western culture, um, being humble is not as common,
yep,
right? Because everything, especially with social media, look at me,
yep.
look at my rank, all that stuff. Why? What do you attribute that to? Why is it different? And how could how can schools kind of adopt a little bit more of that to keep those humble lessons?
Yeah, I think it's just a general care for your community, and I don't want to like bring political things into it, but when masks started becoming popular because of COVID and everything like that, it made me think back to my time, going to Okinawa, and masks for people that were sick, they always wore masks in Okinawa. Like that was just a thing that was part of their culture already. And the reason why they would do it is because they were being courteous of the people around them. And if they were going to go on public transportation, and they knew that they had a cold or something like that, they put a mask on because they wanted to take care of the people that were around them and not spread germs. And, just kind of that mentality of just always looking out for your community and the people around you is just really the biggest difference. And obviously there's people here in America that think that way and work that way. But as a cultural thing, that's something that they've all adopted essentially. So
Hmm.
it's really that I see as like the biggest difference.
Hmm. Now talk about the martial arts lifestyle, right? Again, you've been a martial artist since you were 2 years old. You don't really know life without martial arts. Um, it's kind of hard to explain like what that means to live the martial arts lifestyle. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I definitely attribute a lot of my success as a human to martial arts. And I know those that, do martial arts understand that. It's kind of hard to even fathom what life would be like without it. But, anytime you're faced with a difficult situation, just looking back at your training and the things that you've learned and things like that, it's always helpful for getting through those types of things. But all I know is that I wouldn't want it any other way. I am really proud and happy that my parents made the decision to put us into martial arts so young, and it's something that I'll forever be grateful for. But it's almost tough to really think about, what it looks like to not have martial arts in your life. And obviously, it's something that I hope everyone does or experiences because there's so much to gain from it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think back to that a lot. Like, where would I be in the position that I'm in right now if it weren't for my experience with martial arts or being part of it since I was such a young kid? And I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Hmm. And now you do not own a martial arts school, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, I don't
Eh,
own one. Yep.
okay, and never have.
Correct. Yep.
So what keeps you attached to the martial arts for so long? I mean, a lot of martial artists that get into it, started as a kid, start teaching, open a school, and that school keeps a lot of people connected. But we see people come and go through the martial arts. I'm sure you've started training at some point in your martial arts career. Someone started and then they quit and fell away. What keeps you coming back? What keeps you attached to it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like ebbs and flows in my training. There's times where I'm just like going there all the time, times where I'm going not as often and things like that, just based on how life is at that time. But for me, it's just the fact that it's so consistent, right? It's like that rock in my life that I can always go back to that I know hasn't changed at all. Just because I'm doing the same exact style with the same instructor, same katas, same drills, like everything is the same. And for that, that's really comfortable, right? It's like being at home in a way. It's just
Hmm.
kind of the things that you can expect, the sounds, the smells, like everything is just the same, right? And it's something that it's just nice, right? It's like your time away from everything else to really focus on yourself and something that you love doing. So yeah, for me, it's really that kind of like rock in my life that I can always go
Hmm.
back to.
Right. Yeah, being a career martial artist, I opened a school when I was just a teenager and have this has been my profession my entire adult life. Um, Sometimes being in the martial arts school for me, it's I want to be doing martial arts, but I'm focused on I got to go
Yeah.
make this phone call or I got to go do this. So for me, the gym, like going to the gym, is exactly what you explain. You feel this comfort. You feel this place of like, okay, it's the same. The weights are the same. The smell's the same. You kind of get used to that and you become attached to that. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I love training martial arts.
Yeah.
But sometimes for me as a career martial artist, like sitting in my school, I'm worried about what's going on at my desk and what I got to get done versus actually putting in, the time to work out. But what I found that I have enjoyed is kind of getting outside my school and cross training in other arts or training with different people. I've had the fortune to train with so many amazing different martial artists. Um, what have you done as far as cross training and how do you get outside of shore and roof for a minute and what do you like to do?
Man, it's fun being a white belt. It's
Yeah.
cool to go into a new facility and try something new. So I've tried Muay Thai, I've tried Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, um, of course, going to the gym, things like that. I've done the challenge that I know that you're doing right now. I think uh, you can agree that is something that is different for sure.
Right. You're talking about 75 hard, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've only done the first phase of it. I haven't gone into the upcoming phases like you have, but maybe in the near future I should probably do
There you
that.
go. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, cross training is it's exciting. I mean, it's fun to connect the dots. Also, once you start to see how your martial arts training, is helpful with these other things that you're doing when
Hmm.
it comes to certain body movements, and I loved Muay Thai just because I'm a big fan of kicking in general. Like it's always been something that I've lent myself to when it comes to karate. So being able to just learn different ways to channel power and things like that, that was really exciting.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just a geek for martial arts. And the reason why I started a business in this industry is because I just love it so much. Like going to the Super Show for the first time was freaking incredible. Like I watch all MMA promotions, like all the fights. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that sort of stuff. So it doesn't matter for me as long as it's martial arts. I'm going to be interested for sure.
Nice, nice. Now let's talk about something that might be a little bit more difficult. Um, let's talk about any major failures that you have, that you've experienced in your life, and how you overcame that failure or challenge, what you learned from it, how it maybe catapulted you forward.
Yeah. So my mentality on failures, first of all, I always look at like the position that I'm in right now, and I kind of understand that maybe I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through those specific things. So I never really like regret certain things that I've done or like that I've been through specifically, just because there's always a learning opportunity, that sort of thing. But for me, the thing that like sticks with me the most, and not many people know this about me, but in my beginning of my senior year of high school, I actually dropped out. And for me, I was just like, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I've been doing computer stuff since I was 13 or 12 years old, and really had a strong passion for it, and was kind of like in this mentality where, I don't want to learn anymore. I kind of know what I want to do here, and I'm just going to go for it. And yeah, that was obviously a really scary thing to do, and my parents weren't very happy about that, of course. And luckily everything seems to have worked out okay. But yeah, that kind of sticks out for me as one of those things for sure.
Now, did you ever go back and get a college degree? Did you go back and get your high school diploma?
Well, when I dropped out, I got my GED like right away,
Yeah.
essentially. So I kind
Okay.
of just went like straight into working after that. Again, I just like, I feel lucky that I knew very early on in my life what I wanted to do professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I really kind of just pushed as hard as possible, as soon as possible, essentially, to really focus on those things. But no college or anything like that. I'm totally self-taught when it comes to the development and design and things like that. Just based on having pure passion for it, really.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that a little bit. So how'd you get into the computer stuff, web development, all that whole gambit?
Yeah, so my dad has always been into computers. So growing up, like I said, we've got all the videos of me growing up. He's always been like a techie type of dude. And I always grew up on computers. I've got pictures from when I was 4 or 5 year old sitting at a computer. So it's something that I always enjoyed doing. But when I was like 12 or 13 years old, my group of friends, like in I guess I was in middle school at that point, but going into high school, started to, experimenting with drugs and alcohol and things like that. And for whatever reason, I just like personally never was interested really. So for me, my escape was just doing stuff on the computer, learning how to do development and playing video games and whatever it might be, rather than engaging with, these things that they were doing. So is that during that time that I really spent a good amount of time on the computer, learning these sorts of things, teaching myself how to do these, again, design and development things. And it was just like an escape, really, for not participating in these other things that my friends were doing.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
what was kind of your first breakthrough, like I think of if I'm playing video games, right, and
Yeah.
like I finally beat the game, right, like I figure out how to beat the game. Like what was your beat the game moment with computers when you first started?
Yeah. So I started doing the design and development purely as a hobby, right? Just trying to learn for myself. And I remember the first time that I got asked to create something for someone. And one of my friends, his parents were owned a law firm, and they were asking if I could create a website for them. And I remember getting paid $100 to do it, which for me at the time, I think I was 14 years old or something, was incredible. And
Hmm.
at that point, I realized, okay, I can make some money doing this as well. So that was definitely the moment for me. I've done a lot of different types of design work in all different types of industries, over the last whatever 20 years or 15 years, however long it's been. Um, but yeah, it's just that one time where I got approached to actually do the thing that I love to do and make money at the same time. Like that was pretty sweet. And at that point, I knew, okay, this is really what I wanted to do.
And were there other moments like that along the way before you finally came up with the idea or created Market Muscles?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty consistent in terms of like my professional life, in terms of always doing websites.
Hmm.
It's just I was doing it for other companies that catered to other types of industries. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work on some of the largest tech company websites. Um, I've had opportunities to work on some of the largest political figures in the United States on their websites as well. So, I've had a lot of experience working in different industries, but I always knew like I love martial arts and this is really what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And the first time that I created a website for martial arts school was for my instructor, because I knew that he had a website that wasn't doing well for him. It wasn't performing, wasn't bringing him new students. So I was like, let me try this, right? Like let me see if I
Hmm.
can apply my skills here. And that
Hmm.
was the first, website that I built for martial arts school. And this was before Market Muscles, but really was the thing that kind of gave us the idea that we could do this.
Hmm. So when was the idea for Market Muscles, formulated, or when did that, take shape?
Yeah. So initially, the idea, both my wife and I were. She was really into marketing. I was really into the website side of things. So it was late 2015 that we decided, let's go ahead and try this. And then it was May of 2016 when we first initially launched. And of course, when we launched, it was like crickets. No one knew who we were or anything like that. But I ended up sparking up a conversation with Leon Rogers, who was the senior vice president at Century at the time.
Hmm.
And he invited us to come to the Super Show that year in 2016. And I started chatting with Kyle Young, and he mentioned that they had one booth left. So I said, okay, we're going to go for it. I remember splitting the fee onto multiple different credit cards to pay for the booth space because we were broke and we were trying to just get there essentially. But yeah, that was the first year we went to the Super Show, and our little 10 by 10 booth happened to be placed directly next to our competitor's 97 display, which was interesting. But just being there and seeing, really how big the industry was pretty amazing. Because again, I come from a martial arts school that had 60 to 70 students
Hmm.
at max, and then all of a sudden I'm at the MGM Grand with 3,000 or so martial arts school owners, and it was just pretty incredible.
Interesting. Very cool. Hey, I'm going to take this question real quick, just because
Cool.
Jeff put it up there. He says, you both mentioned cross training or training with others from different styles. Do either of you know Mike Payson, Hapkido Black Belt, or Raul Montolfo? I do not know those names. I have, briefly touched in Hapkido, done a little bit of jujitsu, but no, Jeff, I don't know either of those names. Steven,
I
any
don't.
connection? No?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jeff, for staying with us, and thanks for contributing. We appreciate that. I think Hapkido is kind of cool. It's I learned a lot of wrist locks and joint manipulations in combat Hapkido, which was fun, and I think everybody kind of dabbled in jujitsu at some point, or is right now with a lot of my friends. It's super hot. So great arts, great arts. So we were talking about market muscles. We were talking about your first time at the Super Show 2016,
Yeah.
and now you service 700 plus martial arts schools all over the country, not internationally.
Yeah, we've got some. Well, in the United States and Canada is our base of our clients, and we've got some
Hmm.
overseas as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. The first Super Show that we went into it with 0 clients. I think we left with like 4 or 5, which for us was a huge success, just because it kind of got that snowball rolling. And then
Hmm.
over the next couple of years, it just kind of kept picking up and picking up. And the timing for us was really great, because there was another company in the industry that at the same time was kind of dissolving.
Hmm.
So we were kind of there at the right moment with a really great product for a lot of people that were looking for a replacement, essentially. So that worked out well. But
Hmm.
yeah, the first Super Show, I mean, it was just so cool. Again, just to see everything, to make those connections with people. Again, Leon Rogers was one of those people that really reached out and was, gave me the time of day that really no one else was interested in doing, which I understand, because I get hit up all the time now as well by, other marketers and stuff like that. And it's tough. I realize why, people are a little bit shy to start conversations with these people. But um, yeah, it was fun though. And then so we went 2016, 2017, 2018. I guess 2019 was the last time they did it in person, I believe. And then for the last 3 times, I was able to speak at the Super Show as well, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, educate people that are, watching this now or maybe will watch it later. We're talking about websites and, you know, whether you're a martial arts school or you're a restaurant or, whatever you do. I mean, a website can be crucial to the success of your business. So talk about some of the things when you talk to your new clients, about, what is so important about a website in general.
Yeah, it kind of changes over time, right? So we went from a place where using things like stock photography and things like that were okay, where now consumers are getting so much smarter when it comes to doing their own research and looking at businesses and comparing them. And now you see where it's so important to have your own photos and to use your own videos and things like that. But for us, what we really focus on is getting as many people as possible that come to your website into filling out their information, right? A lot of people are getting, let's just say 100, 200, 500 people to come to their website, but maybe only converting 1 or 2% of those people, into filling out their info. So we
Hmm.
really focus on that conversion piece specifically. There's a lot of small things that we do with our websites that really help with that. It's kind of our secret sauce, I guess you can say. But yeah, I mean, in general, it's just always making it as simple as possible for someone to fill out their info, and just giving them almost as many opportunities as possible based on where they are mentally while looking at your website to take action, essentially.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's worked really well for a lot of our customers, which is great. Again, serving over 700 martial arts schools now. I think I was checking some statistics, but I think our top performing website generated like 250 or so leads in the last 30 days, which is incredible. I mean, it's
Yeah.
super high and not common at all, but just to see those types of stats that are possible, it's pretty cool.
And just out of curiosity, what do you see the average school? I mean, an average school is turning out how many leads on a good website?
Yeah, I'd say probably between 20 to 40 per month is
Hmm.
pretty average. It's always contingent on how much traffic you're getting to your website. But if
Hmm.
you're converting 5% of the people who come to your website, then that's a pretty good place to be.
Hmm. And talk a little bit about, because you say your wife's in marketing and you do the website, so you know there's got to be a lot of correlation between social media and websites. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So we used to get involved a lot with like running ads and things like that, but we've kind of scaled back and really focused on the website piece specifically. But social media is just an incredible place to get people to come to your website, essentially. And we're seeing that a lot now with TikTok. TikTok is a really hot platform. And I'm starting to see some of the agencies out there are starting to run ads for martial arts schools on TikTok and get a lot of success out of it, which is really exciting. Anytime there's a new platform that kind of comes out that you can take advantage of, that's super cool. But yeah, I mean the content on TikTok is crazy. There's all sorts of different stuff. It's extremely addicting. It's where I've been seeing all of the WrestleMania updates for the last couple of days as people have been posting. So,
Right, right.
um, but yeah, it's social media. Obviously, it's been an asset to all businesses, but TikTok is super hot right now.
Well, and talk about that. What are your personal best tips for anybody starting out on a TikTok account?
Yeah, I just think consistency is the biggest, and it really doesn't matter which platform it is. But I see a lot of people who will like start posting on Facebook a lot, and then all of a sudden they're not posting at all. And for someone that's doing research, a consumer, it kind of looks like the business is maybe not that active, or
Hmm.
are you still open? I don't know. You haven't posted in 2 years, so I
Hmm.
think in general, just picking one platform and posting consistently is better than being on all platforms and never posting.
Hmm.
But yeah, with TikTok, it just seems like consistency, and then the type of content. People want to be entertained, right? And martial arts is one of the most entertaining things to watch. It's kind of hard to believe that when you've been involved with it your entire life. Um,
Hmm.
but a good spinning back kick is really aesthetically pleasing. Or we saw those different challenges that have popped up with kicking the water bottle off the bag or the cap off
Hmm.
the bag, those sorts of things.
Right.
Um, there's so much that we do every single day that to the common person would be really cool to see. So, we have a lot of opportunity to post good, great content on TikTok.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that martial art. If I'm scrolling through and I see martial arts, like I always kind of stop and watch, and some of the other stuff, for me, it's like
Yeah, I'm
next,
with you.
next swipe, right? But yeah, every time I see like a cool Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, or someone doing a cool submission, or like
Yeah,
awesome kicks, Caitlin Deschelle like posts so much, and so I always kind of find her in my feed a lot, and an amazing kicker and sword, everything. So that's super, and it's fun. But I think like sometimes people are so when it comes to social media in general, right? They're almost so particular of what they post that
sure.
they don't post anything, right?
Yeah,
It's like, well, I don't know if this is going to be good enough, or but like you said, martial arts is entertaining in and of itself.
yeah,
So you post someone doing a form, of course there's going to be you know probably some haters, right? People always want to talk about, oh well, that looks dumb, or maybe they don't even like forms.
yeah,
But like, just I think, like you said, posting something is better, and regularly. I think I heard posting on Facebook, at least once to even two times a day, shows the consumer that that we are active. And having a couple of different businesses myself, it's always challenging to keep that consistency up, right, and
yeah,
stay
yeah.
there. I mean, that's Facebook, Instagram; those are the top two. Um, but I am seeing a lot more TikTok, and I am seeing a lot more of the reels and stories and all that stuff, which where people are watching, because that constant scroll, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me too, like I posting on social media is not something that is super natural for me. Like I don't go on there and share my entire life or anything like that. So, but what I do for my own personal business is I have my staff post on social media essentially. And because, they're younger, it's something that they grew up with, it's something that they're doing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy for them to do that. So I think engaging, our junior leaders and things like that
Mm-hmm.
with posting on social media for us is a good idea and something that more school owners should be doing. So that way they're not taking on the burden themselves entirely.
Right. Right. Well, I'm happy you said that because I just recently have had one of my teen assistant instructors kind of take over our social media and stuff. And of course, we use, Maya Edge. So we get
Yeah.
everything from Maya still and use a lot of that. And it makes it easier for her. But they do have a different, I'm 47 years old. What I think is interesting might not be
Right.
what the people that we're trying to attract think is interesting, right? Especially on TikTok,
Yep.
right?
Very true.
So yeah, I think that's cool. But well, we're kind of nearing the end here, and I don't want to miss anything. Is there anything else going on right now? Anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to share with everybody?
Oh, geez. Man, I'm just excited. I know I talked about it a couple times, but to get back to the Super Show, I know we're back in person this year, and we'll be there, of course, setting up our booth space, and I really hope that it's kind of like a slingshot effect that we've seen here in the martial arts industry as of late, where we've had those couple of years where we couldn't go in person. So I'm hoping it's a huge event this year. But in general, like I love chatting with people. I love connecting, talking about martial arts and business and stuff like that. So I'm on Facebook all the time, and so if anyone is listening and want to connect, feel free to reach out.
Well, you were very easy and very quick to join me on this, so I appreciate it. And it's just kind of great to introduce all these great people in the martial arts industry specifically, because that tends to be the majority of the people that I've been meeting with here. But we've had a lot of great leaders in other industries that we've had some time with. So thank you, thanks for
Of
sharing with
course.
us. What's next? What's next for you? Is there anything on the horizon? I mean, Market Muscles is going strong. Any other plans to bring something new to the table?
Yeah. So obviously, we're always doing new things with Market Muscles, and then we are working on a CRM system that we've been building for a couple of years now called Pulse.
Hmm.
We're in a kind of like a closed beta phase at the moment as we are working through all the functionality and making sure that things are running well. But that's been really exciting. It's been interesting. Again, as someone that has never ran a school, obviously grew up in the school, but has never had that specific experience, I think it's a unique um, advantage for us because I'm not telling people how to run their business essentially. So when
Hmm.
we're creating these tools that serve martial arts school owners, we're doing it in a way where it's flexible enough that they can kind of pick and choose the best way to run their own business.
Hmm.
So that's been fun. It's been cool to see the feedback. I think we last month had processed over $1 million worth of martial arts tuition through the system. So it's really cool just to see that whole process take place. But
Hmm.
hopefully by the Super Show is when we try or are trying to kind of release things and open it up for more people.
Got it. Cool. Well, I'm interested to hear more about it and learn a little bit more. Um, Last topic, just kind of talking about people that are watching, and of course the title of the show is Master Motivation, and we all know that motivation only lasts so long,
Yeah.
and discipline takes over. What is your overall message to people watching that might give them a little motivation to get started somewhere, or something that might help them with their discipline to continue on, because you've been a martial artist since you were 2 years old. That takes a lot of discipline, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that motivate you along the way. What would you share with everybody else, in any respect, whether it's martial arts, business, or other?
Yeah, the first thing that pops into my head. So I've got a mentor. His name's Dan Martell. He kind of helps software companies, grow, and he's really big into fitness and just he's the reason why I did 75 hard in the first place. He kind of
Hmm.
hosted a thing, and he has this saying that he always says, which is, "You can start a diet in the middle of eating a bag of potato chips." Right. So there's never a time where you can't start doing something great. It's just a matter of making that decision and just going for
Hmm.
it, essentially. So for anyone that is kind of sitting on the fence, just wondering if they should be doing something, they feel like they should be doing it, not sure if it's the right time, again, right now is the perfect time to do it. So you just kind of have to go for it.
Jump in, both feet, right?
Yep.
Just get it done. Cool. Well, hey, thank you so much for all your time and just sharing your story and information along the way. Thank you, Jeff, for watching today, and anybody else that's watching out there. I look forward to each and every week. Next week we have Mr. Stephen Oliver coming on, and we've got some great guests coming up. Follow, if you look at the bottom of the screen, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Check out some of the past interviews. We've had some really great people, and I've got guests scheduled all the way throughout this year. And I'm hoping to just continue this on, and everybody watching, maybe a little extra motivation from Stephen today, maybe a little bit more knowledge or experience, or maybe you just enjoyed the entertainment of listening to us talk for a little bit. But thanks again, Stephen. Really appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you at the Super Show.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Master Motivation. We'll see you all next week, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Monday afternoon. Go out and make it a great week. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care, Stephen.
Take care.